Hello everyone and welcome to our I Pick My Butt video. We're playing Chapter 10 of Archero today and we're going to be showing you how I beat this. I thought the Scarecrow was hard in Chapter 7, but once I ran into this first boss on this board, man, I was in trouble. But after about 20 tries of facing him, I did kind of learn how we can defeat him, and we'll be sharing some of those tips with you today along with how to beat these other bosses. Now, if you are new to Archero or new to my channel, if you want to stay up to date on the latest tips, tricks, or anything related to it, make sure you hit the thumbs up and subscribe now. So this board was very difficult when I first started running it after beating Chapter 9. And like any Archero chapter, going in on the first time, you're going to find yourself greatly underpowered. But luckily for me, with this new update, running Helix, I have him at level 37 right now, which is huge for giving us that extra damage. I would have been grinding this board for months and months on until I could finally be strong enough. But Helix came through. We also switched from the Tornado. If you've seen a lot of my other videos, you know I love using the NATO. But we're actually using the bow to actually give that extra crit bonus to Helix also. And that really seems to be working out. So I am running a partial dodge build right now with a Vested Dexterity and a Serpent Ring. The other ring I'm using is a Falcon. If I had a second perfect epic Serpent Ring, I would be using it. Now we did grab Rear Arrow and Wingman on that. Wingman really seems to help out. The Rear Arrow not so much, just didn't have a lot of good choices there. But as far as the pets, I am using the Elf and the Living Bomb only because they are the highest one. I plan on changing that Living Bomb out soon with another one once I get it up to the level. And the power-ups we are going for this are going to be those typical high tier, front arrow, multi-shot. And now because I'm using the bow, I do want to get things like Ricochet, Bouncy Wall, and even Piercing Shot. And man, does it feel good to be able to get those power-ups again now that I'm not using NATO. So I am not using Battle Pass anymore. I don't know about you guys. Let me know in the comments below if you're still purchasing it. This latest update has pretty much made it easy for us to get gear, which I am excited about. I do wonder where this game is going to go, though, if they're going to start pushing out more levels or not. But as far as the Battle Pass goes, I'm hoping, this being a wave board, that this can be the new one that I'm going to farm and get a whole bunch of enemies killed to advance on that. So obviously we're going to go front arrow on this, and this will be us getting ready to go into this first boss. Now, when we first go in, I'm going to get a couple of shots off, and then I'm going to move out of the way. We do want to treat this boss very similar to the wolf with just slight little dodges on it, but when we see him stop like that there, we want to get away. And those are his 2 attacks. He's going to shoot 3 of those kind of boomerangs, and then he's going to have the 1 axe that he throws that bounces. They are very tough to dodge because the second he starts moving, they're still bouncing around. So you want to try to get away from him and get out of that inline path. Like I said, I died like crazy on this when I first got it, but after a while, the more you play him, the easier he's going to be. And it seems like he is always the first boss that you face in this chapter, so you'll have plenty of time to get your experience you need against him. But as you can see, we're just kind of moving and just finding those little gaps that we can get away from. It doesn't always work perfect, but luckily we beat him. We didn't have to use our revive on it, so I'm going to call that a win. So Chapter 10 does bring with us a couple of new power-ups. They are star power-ups. That was Frost Star we just landed on there. And the way these things work is they're just kind of like our arrows. We have to be stopped in order for them to shoot. And you can see it's going to shoot in 4 different directions. There's no real way to control them. They're not the greatest power-up, but they're not the worst. I mean, if you had to choose between this and Death Bomb or one of the other weak ones, this is definitely a good way to go. But would I pass this up for multi-shot, front arrow, or any of the other high tiers? Probably not. Although I would like to see what it's like using all 4 of them. It might be pretty crazy to see. But once again, I am so grateful I got Helix up to this level to actually help me beat this board. Once I did beat this, I did take him to level 40. And like I was saying in my original Sapphire video, I was going to take all my heroes to level 20 to get the power-ups for all the other heroes and then work on them up. But I am taking Helix to 40, and then I'm going back and working on those other ones. So if you guys haven't seen that, I will have it linked towards the end of the video. Definitely something you want to do if you need to know more about Sapphires and you're having trouble spending on them. But man, oh man, look at all those coins on the board. This is starting to look like the event with having those things on there. I really hope that Archero adjusts the coin graphics on it because they can be a little bit overwhelming with what's going on the screen when you start killing too many of those enemies. So like I said before, this is a wave chapter. Really though, the waves are not the problem. If you do not kill them all before the next wave, it can become an issue. But really the hardest part on this is the bosses because they all seem to be pretty tricky. It's not anything I've actually can say I've seen before on other bosses, so it does take some learning on it. Now, if you guys are playing Archero and haven't unlocked Felix Shot for the 1500 gems, it's something you do definitely want to invest and save them up. If you can spend the money on it, I would say do it. If you're free to play, totally understandable. You should be able to get those things eventually just by saving up for what the game gives for you for free. But what he's going to do is for every percent loss in health, he's going to do an additional 1.2% damage. And then the crit on top of it, people are posting all over Reddit, somewhere 30,000, 40,000, even 50,000 damage done on a single enemy just by him having enough health loss and the actual bonuses and everything else, because he is going to do actual damage, not base damage. The damage that you see, you know, underneath your character, he's not going to do that. Any type of attack up or anything else that's going to increase it is going to help him out. So you saw there, we just got another dodge, and that's going to give us an extra 20% on top of the 7 from our ring and another 7 from our armor. So 34%. We'll be dodging 1 every 3 hits on this. So we are facing the double bombers here right now, and this one is a little bit different than, I think, Chapter 8, which is kind of the Bomberman. Could be Chapter 9, I can't remember anymore. But you see the distance those things have when they shoot out. It's a pretty good stretch. So what I try to do is like a figure 8 type thing if I'm able to. They are going to throw ads also, but if you go on diagonals, that's going to keep those things from hitting you. And this one really can be kind of easy if you can focus just on one bomber. Once you kill one of them, the second one's not too bad all by himself. But as you can see, we're just trying to move around, pay attention where it's landing, and just kind of keep that angle on it. Because, man, those things hurt when they hit you. And where I am saying that this boss is not too terrible, he is still very difficult. I would probably say out of all the bosses on this level, or on this chapter, he is probably the easiest. And like I said, once we get that first one done there, it will help out, and then we can just kind of pick off the rest of the other one. So there is more waves. The waves aren't the problem, so we'll just skip right over to the next boss. I'll meet you there, and we'll talk about how to beat that one. All right, here we are getting ready to go into the next one, and I really don't see this one too often. I think it's a Dragonfly. I try to stick it towards the back, but there's one main attack that he's going to do. There's actually two of them on this. You see these kind of pellets that are launching. They're going to split off in a kind of an X pattern. So what you want to try to do is just keep on moving left or right on it, and just try to dodge them as you see hit them. Most of the time, if they're going off the side, they're not going to projectile. They're just going to disappear. So really, the main ones to worry about are the ones that are making them all the way down by you. And you can see we're taking them down pretty easy, but that's mainly because of all the power-ups we have. If you get this as your second boss, you're really going to be in some trouble. I know I was, because when those things do peg you, they hit hard. Harder than the bombs, I actually would say. I think I died and getting hit about 2 or 3 of them. But like I said, once again, stay in the back, dodge left and right. Sometimes if you have to just move up just a touch, that works too. But we just dropped him. Wasn't too bad. We actually got the devil on it. I want to take the extra life. I don't think I actually ended up using it on this, but it's always nice to have it just for a spare. We'll meet you at the final boss, and he's going to look familiar to you. Alright, so here we are on the final boss, and I thought to myself, oh, it's the dragon. I'll just move out of the way. Nice and easy. Not actually the case. You can see he rains down the actual spikes there. That's not too bad to dodge, but the ones that he goes breathing out is a huge pain, and I died immediately when I ran into him. So you can see I am using invincibility. Wingman is also going to help real good. The dodge, that's helping to it also. I was actually really concerned I wasn't going to beat him having the extra life, having my revive still left, and going in with about half health going in from the beginning. But you can see we are getting pretty lucky that invisibility is helping out so much. You see the 3 different attacks there of the spawn shooting out, the raining down, and obviously the 3 mega pegs he shoots out too. But that's how it's done. Hopefully you guys seeing him will make it where you don't die like I did the first time. This was my second time playing him and beat him. And look at that, a couple of new abilities. They look pretty strange. Come back tomorrow, we'll be showing you those new power-ups. And thanks for watching. Remember, I pick my butt.